Yeah, so this guy is from the OSI. There's a Church of Science, basically. And then there's a Church of Philosophists. The scientists believe there's an order to everything in the universe, and everything is all connected and happening at once, and is part of some gigantic moving machine, whereas the philosophists have that whole, shit happens philosophy, which is heresy to them. So this is a big philosopher's town, I guess. Okay, well, I could steal the drugs from upstairs. But we could also go to the gravesite. I think we'll have a look at that.
Oh, it does work. I bought some musk from Sebastian to cover up the side.
Have a chit-chat here as well. Wow, that's a nice gun, dude. Where'd you get the gun?
Fresh blood at last. Stellar Bay could use some.
Okay, cool. You're not having any of my blood. It's mine. I'm using it.
Could I get another advance, Mr. Nandi?
Just make sure it's properly logged.
I'll note it next to the others, sir. Greetings, and welcome to Monarch Stellar Industries, producers and purveyors of the finest salt tuna in Halcyon. What can I do for you today?
You guys having money troubles?
Not at all. Mr. Nandi treats us all right and pays us well. I just spent most of my paycheck on Raptidon acid.
Do you normally buy that kind of shit?
Laws, no. Sometimes it's canid teeth, or mantis worm wings. Whatever Sebastian has in stock, really.
Aha. Here you go, that many bits to spend. I've got some trash I can sell you. Now, why are you buying so much from Sebastian?
So I can talk to him, of course. He doesn't get going about much else. Sort of the strong, silent type.
Oh boy.
Unfortunately, my apartment's kind of filling up with his stuff. And some of the neighbors are complaining about the smell.
You buy things from this guy who sells basically animal parts just so you can chat to him, which is kind of sweet, but then you keep it and put it in your apartment. You don't just throw it away later. Just ask him out on a date.
I couldn't. What if he says no?
You and I need to go for a drink together.
Maybe you could ask him for me. I mean, a no would still be bad, but it won't be quite as embarrassing if you ask.
My God.
Oh, Mr. Nandi's doing that thing where he breathes through his nose real slowly. I'd better get back to work.
Wait, I'm curious. What do you see in this guy?
He doesn't talk much, but he's got this quiet intensity, you know? Like there's stuff going on inside his head that you have no idea about. Kind of like you, actually. Plus, he's got great legs. It's hard to find a man who doesn't skimp on lower body exercises.
Leg days are a killer.
To have standards, I guess. I know what I'm looking for.
Yeah. So, you know, you really want to be with someone you can't really talk to?
You think that's what I'm looking for? You're funny.
Well, that's all I needed to know.
Sorry, sometimes I get carried away.
Bye-bye.
Well, new business turns up at last.
Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
You leave my loins out of this conversation.
Any questions?
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me.
Okay. No, you have a meeting with me. How about that? Now, that's very generous of you, sir.
Celia, will you make a note of that for my self-review? Very generous.
Noted.
But not so generous I can't drive a good bargain. Now, who sent you? Rizzo's, perhaps? Or Auntie Cleo herself?
Neither. Keep guessing. I'm just charting my own path, going where the wind takes me.
What a charming...
I'm not going to tell him about the information broker.
Free spirits in Halcyon. Not outside Tartarus prison, anyway.
Forgive me, I'd be positively enraptured. Only, I take it this means you aren't here for Saltuna.
If I have to eat one more weird science project passed off as food in this sprat-fucked colony, I'm going to stab someone. No. It could always be both.
Now, there's no need to humor me. I'm used to this particular letdown. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board.
So what exactly are you hoping to accomplish?
Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now. Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious.
Well, it sounds like you're freer than anyone else in Halcyon. Why not embrace it?
Exactly what I would have said, if I'd been paying attention.
You talk like Graham.
Freedom always sounds nice, doesn't it? It makes a rather pretty slogan. But if you sit down and tally up the costs, how you provide for yourself in the absence of aid, how you protect yourself from a hostile galaxy, it starts to lose its shine.
Exactly. Intellectualism fuels the train to mankind's future, but the tracks the train runs on are forged from practicality.
What?
Yes, it's as though the good vicar has plucked the very words from my brain.
So what do you mean to do about it?
Well, Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
Returning to the board is your only chance if you hope to survive here on Monarch. That doesn't mean it'll be easily achievable.
Indeed not. No worthwhile plan was ever simple. That's what I always say.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
So what's the plan?
It's a two-pronged approach. The first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended.
Sounds prudent. But how do you mean to do that?
With a Bolt 52 cartridge, of course. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
What exactly is a Bolt 52?
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance.
Never realized fighting the bureaucracy could be this interesting.
It is quite the rush.
Yeah, ordnance or ordnance. Which one are we talking about here? Are we talking about, like, you know, a civic concept, or are we talking about artillery shells? Anyway, once you have the Bolt 52, what's the other part of your plan?
I'll need to gather some supplemental materials, but I mustn't get ahead of myself.
You do tend to do that.
The Bolt 52 will be in the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. And these days, it's overrun with marauders and raptidons.
Okay, then I guess I'll get the Bolt 52.
Do be careful. I've lost more than a few people to marauders and raptidons out there. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
Sure, I'll delete it. I want to ask you stuff.
What can I do for you?
You never said what the second part of the plan was, but I guess we'll find out after we get the Bolt 52. Sorry about the banging. That's the fireworks. So what about this MSI in the good old days?
Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes.
Okay, so how did the MSI get kicked off the board in the first place?
I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws.
You mean you initiated your own removal from the board?
Not intentionally, though that's technically true. For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. Back then, it was known as Terra 1.
Ah, okay, so this is Terra 1. Yeah, see, the board put their best people on that one.
Really? I always thought they were refreshingly straightforward names. After
Being
all,
sarcastic.
the whole point of terraforming was to make them Earth-like.
Here, though, the results were mixed.
Yes.
And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out.
And not you, right?
Our leadership at the time certainly wanted to.
And how did that work out?
Most regard Monarch as a lost cause. But there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up.
Dinner time? Okay, thank you for hanging out, Luigi. See you later. Okay, so... that's forward thinking.
It's humane, but it's also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms.
So... using the board's own tools against them, then.
That's what I thought. But the senior executives laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with everyone else.
So, here you are.
Yes, some of us stayed behind, and as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI.
Must have pissed off some real big suits to get stuck with that.
On the contrary, I wrote lots of very important reports on behalf of top MSI officials before I was able to achieve this position. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages.
Well, you should have known you couldn't oppose them.
But we weren't trying to.
They see it that way.
Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws. I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently.
So, what is the hazard clause?
It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous.
A necessary evil for the greater good of
Except they
society.
get to define what's dangerous.
That's exactly how the board describes it.
So they invoked it on the whole of Monarch.
Yes, making all of MSI criminals in the board's eyes. Rather hard to run a business that way.
You don't seem to think much of this Graham character.
He and his followers call themselves the Iconoclasts. Lawless anarchists, all of them. If anyone on Monarch deserves the reputation the board's pinned on us, it's them.
I will admit, I am keen to meet their leader.
Well, be careful what you wish for. Graham has a habit of ruining everything, and everyone around him.
So you have strong feelings.
I'm trying to build something here. They only want to destroy things, and they risk ruining Monarch for all of us. It isn't just that they drain our people and resources. Every radical act they commit cements Halcyon's image of us all as destructive rebels, and pushes us further from the rest of the colony. He's lucky the board doesn't take him seriously enough to keep more than a few UDL gunships patrolling Monarch.
An Earth Directorate assault cruiser would change his tune. It's almost a shame we haven't seen one around Monarch in a long while.
So why do you want back on this board? I mean, they mistreated these people so badly. Why do they want back?
Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Without the board, chaos would overtake the system. Working within the established order isn't a principle to snub one's nose at, Captain.
If you can't beat him, might as well join him and reach into their pockets.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community. Being cut off means slow strangulation.
They do kind of have that stranglehold, yeah. Well, I can't fault you for the practicality.
Indeed. We've got to consider realities, not ideals. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue. Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship.
Okay, leverage, like what?
Don't get ahead of yourself, sir.
Yes, it'll be easier to explain once we have the Bolt 52.
Why do I get the feeling the Bolt 52 is like a fucking
maintain the
nuke?
reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations.
Okay.
What can I do for you?
Oh, by the way, yeah, I met Grim at the landing pad. Absolute sweetheart. 10 out of 10 welcoming and greeting.
I see. And was his delivery of the MSI authorized greeting up to snuff?
Oh, yes. I don't want to leave. The guy's a world-class moron. No. He did a bang-up job. I like the guy.
Well, that's excellent. I'll see that your feedback makes it into his review. What else can I do for you?
I'm a big believer in that kind of thing. You know, if you enjoyed the service you received, you give positive feedback. You know? And you make sure that who you give it to doesn't just shine their own arse with it. You tell them to go and let the other guy know, because it brightens their day. I don't want to talk to him about the broker, though. I don't know what his take on that would be. Right, so let's carry on. Oh, it's changed my quest.
Wrapped musk and canid eyes, right here.
Sebastian Adams.
Hello, stranger. Can I interest you in raptidon tongue? Or maybe some canid toenails?
This is
You
Sebastian.
look like a man who's looking for some mostly fresh animal parts?
Okay, we'll leave this. We'll come back to this guy. I want to do that quest later. It's the guy that the woman in there wanted us to talk to. Oh, just a vendor. How big is this map, by the way? It's quite a big town, look. Not too bad. Alright, let's head on out. Let's go get something from,
Please, will someone help me? My boy's in trouble. Oh, thank you for stopping. Everyone acts like nothing's wrong, like my little boy isn't at risk of being eaten by some vile creature. Please, you have to help me get my little Tucker back. He ran away and is going to get himself killed. Oh, I just know a raptidon is melting him with acid as we speak.
It's more dissolving than melting.
not helpful, Ellie.
Not helpful.
Yeah, she got the full stereo blast then from both sides. Not helpful. When did you last see him?
Oh, I just knew you were a good person. Agnes, I said, this is the man to save your little Tucky. And I was right. He ran out into the wilderness a few days ago.
Oh, he did.
I warned him about the raptidons, mantisaurs, and marauders, the toxic sulfur pools, and poisonous plants, but he didn't listen.
A million ways to die.
Go and find my boy.
Why would he run away?
He's been pining for an adventure. Says he's tired of living cooped up behind the walls. But he doesn't understand how dangerous it is out there. I warned him. A raptidon would snap him up first chance it got. I just know one's ripped his arm off and is gnawing on his sweet little fingers. He should have listened to his mama. I promised I'd keep him safe here with me.
This guy's going to be like 37 years old, though. You know that, right? He's going to be 37. He's going to work with the town guard, and she's going to be like painting the picture of this sweet little like 10-year-old boy that's run off into the woods. And it's like, oh God, my mom just won't stop. I'm a grown-up. I can take care of myself. Where would he go?
He's been listening to those awful broadcasts that the iconoclasts put out. I begged Sanjar to put a stop to them, but did he? No! And now I just know my boy's run off to Amber Heights. That is, if a Manta Queen hasn't spooled out and eaten his entrails for breakfast already.
Okay, where's Amber Heights?
That old settlement, southwest of Stellar Bay. I don't know which is worse, the thought of my son shacking up with the nutty iconoclasts, or that he never made it. Sprats could be nesting in his rotting body alongside the road as we speak. Or maybe Marauders got him, pulled all his teeth out, crushed him into their drugs and made him snort them. Oh, the things that could happen to my sweet baby.
I always find this funny with people like this. They've got such a vivid imagination for all the horrors that could be committed against, like, their kid or something. Like, okay, if this scares you so much, how are you even able to imagine these highly detailed methods of death, you know, and then just voice them out without being even more horrified at them? So weird. Okay, what were you saying about the iconoclasts?
Those low-life degenerates, leading innocent boys into a life of danger. Oh, they make it sound so exciting. Like it's noble to risk it all out there, fighting for the greater good. How noble is it to worry your loved ones? Not at all, I say. But still they preach their sermons of anarchy and rebellion to anyone who'll listen. If they weren't holed up in Amber Heights, I'd knock them all upside the head.
Well, I'll go do it. I'm not going to say about a reward.
Thank you. Oh, I know he'll be safe now that someone's able to fetch him home. You look for him in Amber Heights, you hear? It's down the road southwest of town. I'm sure he made it that far. I just know it. And if you find any of them iconoclasts indoctrinating my boy, you punch them in the mouths. Tell them what I think of them luring little boys away from their mamas. It's immoral.
Yeah. Ease.